What's going on, everybody? My name is Tyler, and today is episode number 29 of my 32 straight days previewing the 32 NFL teams ahead of the 2020 NFL season. And if you haven't watched the first 28 episodes, which is kind of weird to say because that means we are just 3 episodes away from completing this series after today. The link to the full playlist is, as always, down below in the description. Today, I will be looking at the Seattle Seahawks, who last season performed immensely well. They went 11-5, which normally would have won them their division in the Nfc West. But because of a dream season the 49ers had, the Seahawks were relegated, to the 5th seed in the NFC playoffs, and were only able to make it to the divisional round, losing to the Packers. Looking at, say the Seahawks won their division, saying 11-5 wasn't, the 49ers just dropped down, the Seahawks would have been the 3 seed in the NFC. They would have had a home playoff game first, so that's a plus there. And then they would have gone on to play New Orleans instead of Green Bay, so who knows? Maybe things would have ended up a lot different for them. But this team, it starts and ends with Russell Wilson at quarterback. His ability to make plays with both his legs and his arm. He is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. I have him at number 3 behind Lamar Jackson, or Patrick Mahomes first, and then Lamar Jackson. But Wilson, he's been able to do it for so long at such a consistent level. He will carry this team. Sure, the offensive line is not great, but Dwayne Brown holds down that line at Wilson's blind side, and they can just be average. Give Wilson time to throw when on a majority of plays, and then the rest, just allow him to make plays happen with his legs. The Seahawks will have success on offense. If it's when the offensive line is unreliable and Wilson has to make plays with his legs every single time, where I don't think they'll have as much success. Looking at his options to throw to, Wilson's probably got one of the best 1-2 wide receiver duos in the entire league with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Both guys can spread the field with speed, but also can make plays in the slot, in the middle of the field. So I'm really excited to see what they do here. And then Greg Olsen was added in the offseason at tight end to pair with Will Dissly, which is a nice 1-2 punch, I think, at tight end. One can play the slot, one can be a blocker in the run game. It works really, really well, I think, especially if the Seahawks want to air it out. My one concern with this offense is the running game. Chris Carson and Rashad Penny are both coming off season-ending injury, and have an injury history. Carson especially. He is expected to be ready for week 1, but who knows with this crazy offseason if things have changed and the recovery from these injuries. These were serious injuries. I'm not going to be honest. I believe Penny was a knee injury and Carson was a leg injury of sorts. I don't remember exactly what it was, but neither of them are going to want to be overly. They don't want to be overly careless. They want to be cautious with these injuries. Fortunately, Seattle did sign Carlos Hyde, who had a really good season for Houston last year, rushing for over 1,000 yards. So the running back group as a whole just needs to be at least average for this team to have success in 2020. Looking at the defensive side of the ball, the Seahawks, it's not what it once was with the Legion of Boom. Let's be clear. But it is definitely better than what it once was, maybe say 2 years, 3 years ago. Bobby Wagner is still one of the best inside linebackers in football. KJ Wright and Bruce Irvin are 2 solid veterans. Jaron Reed is slowly emerging as a top interior lineman in the NFL. Then there's the secondary. The Seahawks acquired some guy named Jamal Adams a few weeks ago, who is probably the best player at his position, especially given his age. Sure, Adams does need to be locked up for a long-term deal, but he has said that he is willing to wait out signing an extension as long as he's playing on a team that he wants to, and the Seahawks appear to be one of those teams. Adams, he gets paired with some other nice young pieces like Trey Flowers, Quandre Diggs, Shaquille Griffin, among others. So this group is slowly emerging into one of the best secondaries in the league, and I know I sound like a broken record, but it is very much true. The thing with the secondary as well is that all 4 of those guys that I just mentioned are younger, so they will have to continue to get together, so I wouldn't be surprised if they experience somewhat of a slow start. But Pete Carroll has proven that he can adapt to an ever-changing NFL and will once again look to do so if this team wants to have success. And speaking about the NFC West just in general, if this Seahawks defense can perform at a top 13 defense level week in and week out, they can handle the offenses of the Cardinals, who've had Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Kenyon Drake, Larry Fitzgerald, so on and so forth. They can handle the Rams with Jared Goff, whoever the heck they're going to put in at running back, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee, and Robert Woods. They can handle the San Francisco 49ers with their elite running game, Jimmy Garoppolo, George Kittle, etc. If the Seahawks defense can perform well, the division is theirs. It's just plain and simple. Looking at their full schedule, which will be down below with my win-loss projections. Unfortunately for Seattle, if you saw my San Francisco 49ers preview, they're going to be second dogs once again in the NFC West. I have them going 12-4, fifth in the NFC, being the first wild card team. But there is an opportunity for them to maybe sway some things. Things could possibly change. So I have them starting out 4-0, winning at Atlanta week 1. This game could be a possible loss given the fact that Atlanta's offense looks to be very good and this defense needs to have some time to gel together. So we'll see about that one. Week 2 versus New England, though, I think that's a win. Week 3 versus Dallas, another one that can go either way, but I'm going to give the edge to Seattle. Week 4 at Miami, another win. Then week 5 versus Minnesota, I think that's their first loss of the season. And I honestly think this could be one of those games where the Seahawks could actually win it, being that it will be at home. They'll come into their bye week, week 6, so a little bit earlier in the year, which I'm not a big fan of for teams to have success in the long run. Then they come out of it, though. They have Arizona on the road. I think that's a win right there. The Cardinals, if their offense is not clicking at 100%, the Seahawks could feast on that. And then week 8 versus the San Francisco 49ers. This will be a big one. I do think the Seattle Seahawks can pull out a win there. I have them splitting their matchups with the 49ers this year, which will be crucial. If one team goes 2-0, that team wins the division. Hands down. No question about it. Splitting it makes it more up in the air. Week 9 at Buffalo. This one I'm a little bit concerned about for Seattle, being the fact that they're going to go on the road, playing a team in Buffalo that has a very solid offense and one of the best defenses in the league. They'll be coming off probably a headbanger of a game against the 49ers. So maybe this Bills game could be, I guess, a reverse trap game. I don't know what the term would be, but one of those games where you're just coming off a big one and the momentum doesn't carry over as much, or you just come out a little sluggish and the Bills take advantage. Week 10 against the Rams, Week 11 versus the Cardinals. That's 2 more wins, so I have the Seattle Seahawks sweeping the Cardinals as well as sweeping the Rams, which will be crucial because they'll end up going 5-1 in the division, which bodes well nicely for them. Week 12 at Philadelphia, I have that as a loss. That one I'm not too sure about because last year Seattle beat the Philadelphia Eagles twice on the road. Why can't they do it again? I do have the Eagles winning just because I think they are a more complete team, but I would not be surprised if Seattle does beat them. Week 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, those are easy games for Seattle. I see no trouble for them. Week 13 versus New York Giants. Week 14 versus the Jets. Week 15 at the Washington football team. Week 16 versus the Rams. And then finally, Week 17 against the 49ers. This is the game I'm most looking forward to, just simply because last year this game came down to the wire. I wouldn't be surprised if it came down to the wire once again. This game will ultimately decide the division most likely, especially given the fact I had the Niners going 13-3, the Seahawks going 12-4. So whoever wins this game most likely will win the division. My one big concern with Seattle in terms of their schedule is the travel. They travel over 6,500 more miles more than the second place team. Seattle, they'll travel a total of 28,982 miles for their games this season, most in the league by far. The Seahawks will also have the most games where they have to travel over 2,000 miles, which is 5 times the most of any team in the league, like I mentioned. So the hardest part for the Seahawks season is just the travel. They seem to do very well with it every year, so I'm not too concerned, but it's something of note that people, I think, got to look out for. 5 games I'm most looking forward to this season. Week 1 versus the Falcons. I mean, that Falcons offense. Todd Gurley, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Hayden Hurst. This could be one of those games where the Seahawks defense, they might not have gotten all the time to glue during training camp, so they might need a couple weeks. The Falcons could take advantage of that there. Week 3 against the Cowboys. Similar thing. The Cowboys got Dak Prescott, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Ezekiel Elliott. So if the Seahawks defense hasn't gelled by then, another offense that can take advantage of that. Week 9 against Buffalo. The Bills, they look to be really good this year. And this is one of those games where the Seahawks have a massive travel haul. They're going to be coming off a game against the 49ers. So that could be one where the Bills steal one from the Seahawks, and that could ultimately do them in terms of division. Week 11 versus Arizona. This is going to be a point in the year where I'm sure the Seahawks and the Cardinals will be at somewhat full strength in terms of their roster and how they're playing. And the Cardinals look to be in the playoff picture this year. the Seahawks could definitely keep them out if they win this one, because I have the Seahawks sweeping the Cardinals this year. So if they can do that, sweep them, the Cardinals are going to be on the outside looking in of the playoffs once again. Finally, Week 17 against the 49ers, like I mentioned, this game last year was a headbanger. I don't see why it wouldn't this year. But let me know what y'all think down below in the description. Do the Seahawks regain their division crown, or is it still the 49ers' division? What are your expectations for Seattle this season? I'm very excited to watch this team. I think they are going to be one of the most fun teams to watch. But let me know what y'all think down below. Thank you so much for watching. Next episode, I'll be looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which, if you might have noticed, they signed Tom Brady in the offseason. So, going to have a lot to talk about. So until then, thank you so much for watching once again. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.